Welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show, the only glitch art video podcast hosted by Omnia Sol. Episode 4. The Apology Special.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show. This is, as you know from the title card, this is the Apology Special. I just want to formally apologize. Last time we had a great artist on the show, as far as music goes, Swan Sound, and I goofed. I fucked up. I just want to take this time to formally apologize to Swan Sound. I had misspelled the name on air as starting with an S, and the name starts with a Z. ZWANSOUND, Swan Sound, with a Z. And I spelled it with an S. So going forward, I will no longer be spelling artists' names on the show. I will still be linking their work in the bio, in the show notes, and I will still obviously be saying who the artists are that I'm playing their music. But going forward, I will no longer be spelling their names out on air, because this is my first mistake, but it probably will not be my last. So I just want to go ahead, formally apologize to Swan Sound. Look that up, make sure it is Swan Sound and not Swan Song. I think it has to be. It has to be. It's Swan Sound, right? And it's Swan Sound. Let me check. It is Swan. Where? I know I bought it on Bandcamp, which you can too. Yeah, it's Swan Sound, but with a Z. Swan Sound with a Z. The album's Turbo Gallery USB. You can get that on eatdis.bandcamp.com. So once again, I want to formally apologize to Swan Sound. I want to formally apologize to Eat Dis. I want to apologize for earlier in my apology for saying Swan Song instead of Swan Sound. And welcome to the show. This the Apology Special. I hope that you appreciate my apology. It comes from the bottom of my heart here at the Omnia Sol Art Show. Thank you.
All right, folks, welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show, episode 4. We have made it all the way to episode 4. Just want to give a very special shout out to all my Patreon patrons for making this show possible. Without you, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't even be able to afford Creative Cloud to pay for the software to edit this show, to make this show possible. So thank you to all the Patreon patrons for supporting the show. If you like the show, support it on Patreon, patreon.com/Omnia Sol Art, just like the title of the show. It's called the Omnia Sol Art Show. Just take out show, patreon.com/Omnia Sol Art. You got yourself a way to donate, a way to support the show. So tonight we are glitching a variety of footage. Some of the footage I have taken myself of painting and walking. We are going on a journey through time and space. Some may say a voyage of sorts. In fact, if I hadn't fucked up and had to title this episode The Apology Special to make up for my fuck up from last week's special, then I would have titled this episode Voyages, because that's how important this is, folks. We are going on a voyage through time and space. We are going on a voyage because the other thing that I am glitching tonight is the 7th voyage of Sinbad. The seventh voyage of Sinbad on VHS. And this tape, I realized that, so it takes the story of Sinbad, the sailor from Baghdad, Sinbad. And I realized one way to get around the YouTube censors is if my friend Holly gave me this idea. If I review the VHS tape, then this show counts as a review, which means I am legally allowed to use footage for whatever I want because I am reviewing the tape. So I am reviewing this tape. I'm going to go ahead and give it 3 VHS tapes out of 5 is my rating because, there's some issues with it. Well, first of all, it's another whitewashing an American movie that is all white people, but it's supposed to be about someone from the Middle East. So that's some racist bullshit. So we're going to give it 3 out of 5 VHS tapes. But at the same time, it is the monsters and everything in it is stop motion animation by the legendary Ray Harryhausen, and I can't get enough of his Cyclops. I can't get enough of his work. It looks incredible. It looks great. Ray did a great job. So we're going to go ahead and return the 2 missing VHS tapes and go ahead and give this tape, this popcorn classic, 5 out of 5 VHS tapes. That's my review. So I gotta say, I really hate that these companies that sell VHS tapes always find a way to, they just don't care. They don't care because it's like a thrown away item. But I hate how they put stickers on the VHS tapes and it ruins the cover. It's just very disrespectful to people who collect these. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And I work in in media retail, and I get it. VHS is considered a thrown away art form. It's considered, it doesn't matter anymore. But I got all this sticker residue on the tape cover. Not that this had any value anyways, because I paid $1 for it. But it's just the principle of the things, folks. It's just the principle. How are you going to have a beautiful cardboard for a VHS tape and then ruin it with a giant sticker on the front? It's extremely disrespectful. Anyways, we are going on a journey through time, space, mythology, story, art, and we are also going on a journey through this episode into our next segment. You know what it is, folks. It's time for What am I drinking tonight? So tonight I am drinking something completely unprecedented in the history of the Omnia Sol Art Show. I am drinking English breakfast tea. It is not breakfast anymore, but this is unprecedented for a number of reasons. One, I'm drinking English breakfast tea when it's not breakfast, but I'm also drinking this. This is the second cup of English breakfast tea I've had today. Usually if I have 2 cups of tea in a day, I will start with English breakfast and I will switch to Earl Grey, drank the same way with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of almond milk and a little bit of love, folks. Don't forget the love when you're drinking your tea. But I realized that last week I did Earl Grey. So I wanted to switch it up if this segment is what am I drinking tonight, it can't be the same drink every night. That ruins the point of having it as a segment if I'm drinking the same thing every time. So I'm switching it up, drinking English breakfast tea past noon, which is unheard of. I wanted to say unhistorical, but that doesn't apply here. But it's unheard of, folks, but it's still delicious. Can't recommend it enough. Get yourself a cup of English breakfast tea. I don't care what brand because I'm not sponsored, but if there are any tea companies out there that want to send me some free tea, I will definitely subliminally advertise it on the show by including it in this section of the show, because I'm here for a good time, not a long time, folks. Let's sell out already. Reach out to me, corporate overlords. Let's get this tea for this segment. So yeah, English breakfast tea. It's so good. It's such a good, I know I've talked about this on the show before, but starting my day with English breakfast tea as opposed to starting it with coffee it's done wonders for me. I can't say it's life-changing, but even switching to decaf, I would still end up drinking 3 cups of decaf, which is equivalent of 1 cup of coffee, and then just instantly, not to get all, instantly have to go to the bathroom, basically. And it's just not fun. And then the caffeine, I still do drink coffee from time to time, but it's for whatever reason, the caffeine from tea keeps me centered, keeps me balanced, keeps me focused. Where the caffeine from coffee, I get a slight jittery high from it. And if I drink too much, I get all anxious, and then I crash, and then I need a nap. But with tea, I drink it, I get the caffeine I need, and a delicious breakfast. And you know what? I've been thinking, if I keep drinking tea, I should just change the name of the segment to Tea Time. But who knows? Next week, I might be drinking something completely different. So stay tuned, folks. You never know. You never know.
What am I drinking tonight?
So just one small note that I forgot to include in the segment.
What am I drinking tonight?
I forgot to include that I recently got a great purchase of a tea bag squeezer, because I don't know how many of you drink tea, but one problem I have run into since I have started drinking tea more often is that when I steep the bag for 5 minutes, then it's time to take the tea bag out. But there's so much residual tea concentrate left in the bag that I want to get out. And I would squeeze with my fingers, burn my fingers every time like a fucking stupid person. Burn my beautiful fingers, squeezing the tea bag, getting the residual tea out to have a perfect cup of tea. I thought, fuck it. I spent a couple bucks, got a tea bag squeezer, which just, it's like a pair of tongs that just squeezes the tea bag when you're ready, when you're done steeping, when you're ready to drink your tea. Squeeze that tea out. My life has been so much better. My tea time has been so much more enjoyable because I don't have burnt fingers anymore. I think it is time in the show to go with our first song, which is by, let me check my notes. So our first song is by Latenitebadboi, which, as I said in the apology earlier, I'm not going to be spelling that out because I'm going to fuck it up on air. But it's Latenitebadboi. The song is Saul Goodman shit off the album Skateboard, and you can find this. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be all over the place. But it's, latenitebadboi.bandcamp.com. So go support. An interesting thing about this artist is that we actually, speaking of journeys, we actually met going all the way back to 2011. I went to Bonnaroo for the first and only time, and this group from Indiana that was camping out next to us, one of the people in the group is this musician. We're going to have 2 songs, 2 different band camps, but two different sounds. What a productive artist. But we met at Bonnaroo, and then I think we followed each other on Tumblr back when Tumblr was still a big thing, because we were both in the printmaking scene in our respective colleges. And funny enough, I got invited to a all printmaking show at a place called PG Gallery in Evansville, Indiana. Great show, wonderful, awesome show. got invited by Kenny to it, and we both didn't realize that we already knew each other from Bonnaroo until someone else who was at Bonnaroo with us like showed up and was like, whoa, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I got invited to this show. And then like we put all the pieces together, like, holy shit, we knew each other from Bonnaroo, forgot about it, followed each other on social media because we were both printmakers, like making cool woodblock prints and silk screens and whatnot. And just everything goes full circle. Now I've got this show. I'm looking for musicians to feature on the show. And if you want your music featured, email me. And I don't even really check Snapchat that often, but I was checking my Snapchat stories, and this person had like posted some clips of some music that he was working on. Checked it out, loved it, and reached out, made the connection. And so now we've got Late Night Bad Boy, bandcamp.com, Saul Goodman shit. So yeah, everything goes full circle. It's just, I don't know. They're just, you never know where these small connections will lead you, folks. So we'll be back with you after the song.
So, I'm about to Spanky's Pizza, and I see my uncle there, and I was like, hey, thanks for helping me out with the whole getting sued thing. He just like looks at me. I swear it was like the most Saul Goodman shit. He said,
Late Night Bad Boy.
Tell me things that DJs say. You like that?
Welcome back to the show. That was Saul Goodman Shit, the name of the song. Saul Goodman Shit by Late Night Bad Boy, off the album Skateboard, which you can find at latenightbadboi.bandcamp.com. And I will not be spelling that out because I know I'm going to fuck it up, but the link will be in the show notes. So click the link, go check it out, and go show Late Night Bad Boy some love. Got Saul Goodman shit and got a bunch of other great songs on latenightbadboi.bandcamp.com. So go check it out. It is time for one of our favorite segments of the show. It is time for
Card of the Show.
And in Card of the Show, this is the time of the show where I read your fortune. I read a tarot card for you. Hope that it applies to your life. You know, if you think the tarot's bullshit, you can kind of think of it as more symbolic, psychological. What do these symbols say to you? How does it make you feel? kind of some art therapy going on, maybe, if that's your jam, some art therapy. But if you're more spiritual, maybe it's the spirit, the God form of the cards, the God Thoth, the God of thought, Hermes Trismegistus communicating with you. Or if you want to go to the sci-fi route, you could kind of think of it as this is your future self communicating back in time to your past self to avoid past mistakes and whatnot. So yeah, it is time for card of the show, and I'm going to shuffle this deck 3 times. So shuffle number 1. Shuffle number 2. And shuffle number 3. One thing that is interesting about the tarot, I talked about this on a recent podcast that will be coming out soon, is that I don't know if you know the history of tarot, but one thing about it is that there was kind of speculation that tarot was this ancient Egyptian, like hieroglyphics passed on. That was a bunch of made up bullshit. It was actually an Italian card playing game that then later, in kind of this like magical renaissance in England, got taken and turned into like more fortune telling. Well, I think so. It was an Italian card game. I think it got used for fortune telling before that, but it didn't get seen as like this like holy occult thing until really the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which is what like both the what is it called? Jared Gardner? The guy who created Wicca, and then also Aleister Crowley came out of the Golden Dawn and started Thelema. We didn't start with Thelema. He joined Thelema and kind of took it over and made it his own religion. But anyways, your card of the show today. Ooh, this might be the first bad card of the show we have ever had on the show. Usually, we only get good cards on the show. But also, speaking of... So the card of the show is the 9 of Swords, and I believe, let me check my notes, but I believe I said last week, and I'm not bullshitting you, you heard me shuffle the deck. You heard me fucking shuffle the deck, so I'm not lying. I'm not lying. But yeah, so the first card of the first episode, we had the 9 of Cups. Second episode, we had the Knight of Wands. Third episode, we had the Page of Pentacles, and I told you last week, if you listen back last week, I said... Wouldn't it be wild if we ended up getting a card from Swords? Because the different suits represent the different elements. So you have the Cups, which is water, the Wands, which is fire, the Pentacles, which is earth, the Swords, which is air, and then people consider like the major arcana to be like the spirit. So the 5 elements. So we got all the elements at play now. Well, I guess we haven't got a major arcana yet. But maybe next week we'll get the major arcana. But I think that's interesting that I told you I think we'll get a Swords. And I didn't cheat. I did not cheat. In the name of God, if there is a God, in the name of my tarot deck, my cat, Prometheus as my witness, I did not cheat. I told you we were going to get a Swords card today, and we got a Swords card. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. I'm pretty excited that we got the 9 of Swords, even though it's a negative card. So this card, there is a person who is waking up from a nightmare, and there's a bunch of swords on the wall. The blanket is kind of covered with roses and astrological signs. And there's an old joke that if you combine the 5 of Swords, which is someone like stealing these swords and trying to get away, but there's clearly like a camp that views him stealing these swords. So there's a old meme that goes around like Twitter and Instagram and stuff where it's like, I originally saw it on Tumblr back when Tumblr existed, but there's the meme is like, haha, I'm running away with all these swords, and then, or it's like me like drunk as fuck stealing all these swords. And then the next is like the morning after waking up, like, oh God, why did I steal all these swords? So it's usually considered a negative card associated with nightmares. I know when I get this card, either I'm going to have bad dreams or something kind of negative is going to happen. So just to be mindful of that, to watch out for that, so like that way, if I don't get, that way I try to not get upset about things that I have no control over, because, bad shit happens sometimes. But if we look at the actual definition from the book, we get despair, sorrow, nightmares, grief, death, delay, disappointment, deception, miscarriage. This card warns you to prepare for the worst. If you have drawn this card, you are already facing a difficult emotional period. Whatever caused this is unavoidable. It is fate. Regardless of your actions, this situation could not have been avoided. This card can indicate the death of a relative, a friend, or a loved one, or the loss of something you loved or held in great regard. The 9 of Swords can also mean regret from having been duped or misled intentionally by another. Regardless of the cause, the result is the same: a period of grief and inconsolable despair. This results in delays of all your plans. Okay, so there's a misspelling in the actual tarot app that I'm reading this definition on, but it says your life. So I think it says you put your life, or maybe it says you should put your life. I don't know how it's supposed to be, but you should put your life on hold until you can deal with your emotional reaction to your loss. So yeah, I would say to better apply this card to your life, I would say to take some time out. If you haven't faced the disaster that's coming, take some time out to breathe, to sleep, to take care of yourself, to drink some water, to stay hydrated. And, honestly, like, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We have over the other day, we had like over 3,000 deaths in one day. So more than 9/11 on a daily basis. And so we really got to start, we need to take some time for ourselves and really think about, what's going on. And even if this doesn't apply directly to your life, think of grieving in general and taking the time that you need for what we are all collectively going through. So that would be my advice on this segment of
Card of the Show.
So I've got a very exciting announcement, and I know a couple of the people who watch this show at home, a couple of my Patreon patrons and good friends already know this, but I actually recorded a episode of a different podcast today, Locust Radio, that got to talk about my work, got to talk about this show and my comic strip ZZZ, and how it relates to the unfinished work by Mark Fisher, Acid Communism, which was kind of his response to his earlier book, Capitalist Realism, thinking about how we're often told there is no escaping capitalism. It just is what it is. That's what it's always been, which of course is not true. If you look at history, capitalism has not always existed, and hopefully it will not always exist in the future. I don't think it's sustainable enough to exist in the future. But so communism was it was the unfinished introduction to a book he was writing before he passed. And it was kind of his kind of how he saw the counterculture movement and the psychedelic movement, and how that was sort of like an escape from capitalism and the pitfalls of the history of psychedelia and the counterculture. Very fun show, very fun to record. Had a good time. So definitely check out Locust Review, and check out Locust Radio, which is the podcast. I'm not sure when that episode is coming out, but it will be coming out. And so it'll be another fun way to hear me talk about some real shit, because I know we get kind of goofy on this show. But yeah, go to Locust. I guess it's no, that's not the right website. What is it? I think it's patreon.com/Locust Review is the Patreon, but the website is Locust Review. Let me double check if I got it right. Oh, I misspelled locust. That's why it's not coming up. Locust Review. I need to learn how to spell. .com. Is that yes, locustreview.com is the website. So go check it out. Go subscribe to Locust Review if you like good art and you want a newspaper that's full of good art and like art from a socialist perspective. It's really good. Check it out. Check out Locust Radio if you want a more serious podcast to listen to about art and politics and the popular avant-garde and all these interesting concepts. Can't plug it enough, folks. Go check out Locust Review. We are going to go ahead and play our second song of the show, which is by an artist named Bedbug off the album Bedbug. Wait, no. Okay, so the artist is named Bedbug, the album is named Bedbug, but the song is called Distant Memory, and you can find this at rebor.bandcamp.com. I will not be spelling that, but you can click the show link and check it out. So, and we will be back with you after the song. So please enjoy Distant Memory by Bedbug. That was Distant Memory by Bedbug. And I gotta say, folks, you never would have seen it coming. But I got a couple more apologies to add to the apology special. The way I talked about Locust Review, I made it seem like it was all art, but it is art focused, but it's, you watch a show like this, you think it'd be all visual art, but it's way more than that. There's poetry, there's short stories, there is visual art. But there's a lot more to it. So I want to say I want to apologize for shrinking that down and making it seem less than it was. The other apology I want to do is I just noticed, because I was going to my podcast app to see what effect I put on the words section last week. And I thought I did hard auto tune, but I wasn't sure if I did hard auto tune or if I did the big chorus auto tune setting. Went to my podcast app only to find that I never published the podcast last week. So thank you to everyone who watched it on YouTube, to people who prefer to just listen to my beautiful voice and don't have time to watch a YouTube video. It's published now, so it should be out in a matter of 10 minutes from when I'm recording this, but my apologies. It is so good that I named this episode the Apology Special instead of Voyages, because folks, I got a lot to apologize for, apparently, but it is a glitch art show, so there are going to be both, there are going to be some natural glitches, as in the original definition of glitch, which is a fuck up, a screw up, something that should not have happened. And I should have caught that, but I didn't, but I caught it now. So if you listen to the podcast at home, you didn't get a podcast last week. Now you get 2 podcasts this week. You get the one that I just published, and you got this one coming out tomorrow on Monday. So look forward to that. Okay, so the podcast just posted to my app, but when I looked at it on Apple Podcast, it was like, oh, you already played this. And so maybe if you listen at home, maybe you already did listen to it. Maybe I accidentally unpublished it, published it again. But anyways, it's back up now. And this episode will be coming out tomorrow. So it's actually a little early to go to this next section of the show. But today, this section is going to be a little longer than it usually is. So we're going to go ahead and go to it. Without further ado, you know what it is. It is a fan favorite of the show. It is the time of the show where we read from a book. You know what it is. It is time for... It's time for words. It's time for words. It's time for words. So today, in honor of me appearing on Locust Radio in the upcoming episode, we are going to go ahead and take a break from the Tao Te Ching. And because we talked about acid communism on the Locust episode, I am going to go ahead and read an excerpt from K-Punk by Mark Fisher, the collected and unpublished writings of Mark Fisher 2004 to 2006. And we are going to go ahead and read from For Now Our Desire is Nameless, from the political writings section. And the section that we are reading from is called There is No Desire for Capitalism. So without further ado, we don't have to choose between class politics and anti-authoritarianism any more than we need to choose between Gramsci, Deleuze, or Guattari, between hegemonic approach and a politics of desire. In fact, if we are to succeed, we must absolutely refuse this false choice. Class politics must be renewed and resumed, not simply revived as if nothing has happened. In a Gramscian mode, we need to take institutions seriously again. Mainstream media are still where our sense of reality is produced, and despite all the claims about the waning of the state, Parliament still has power over life and death via its control of the military, health services, and social security. Yet these institutions cannot be renewed from within. It is necessary to articulate the institution and the forces outside them. At the same time, desire is not some vitalistic energy which will spontaneously emerge once bodies are freed from institutions. Rather, desire is always the result of processes of libidinal engineering. And at the moment, our desire is manipulated by capital's army of PR, branding, and advertising specialists. The The left needs to produce its own machineries of desire. It's true that, at first sight, we seem to be at something of a disadvantage here, when we consider the vast resources that capital has at its disposal aimed at capturing our desire. Yet there is no desire for capitalism as such, just as culture is composed from libidinal materials that have no essential relation to capital, which is why capital has to distract, depress, and addict us in order to keep us captivated and subordinated. But if we are no longer to define ourselves negatively by our opposition to capital, what will be the name of our positive project? I don't believe that the old signifier communism can be revived for this purpose. It is now irrevertibly tainted by terrible associations, forever tied to the nightmares of the 20th century. At the moment, our desire is nameless, but it is real. Our desire is for the future, for an escape from the impasses of the flatlands of capital's endless repetitions, and it comes from the future, from the very future in which new perceptions, desires, cognitions are once again possible, and yet we can grasp this future only in glimmers. But it is for us to construct this future, even as, at another level, it is already in the first person plural. At some point in this process, the name for our new desire will appear and we will recognize it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that section as much as I enjoyed recording it. It was a doozy because it was a lot more words and I fumbled all over my words a little bit, but I think it still turned out good after a couple takes. I think that was a good section of it's time for words. It's time for words. It's time for words. One thing that I forgot to mention in this Sinbad movie, that Ray Harryhausen, who did all the, I think he did a lot in this movie. He did all the story, but he also did basically all the special effects with the different monsters and stuff. And there's actually a documentary that's really interesting. It was on Netflix a few years back when I watched it. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. But it's, what is it called? It's like Ray Harryhausen. Shit. I thought I had it saved. Ray Harryhausen documentary. It was called, yeah, okay. So just Ray Harryhausen, Special Effects Titan. It was on Netflix. Very good documentary. Also, one thing about this movie, particularly the skeleton scene, was influential on a couple other movies. If you are a fan of the Evil Dead franchise, as I am, you'll recognize these kind of skeletons as being very similar to the ones in Army of Darkness, but also directly, if you're a fan of the Spy Kids franchise, Robert Rodriguez, the entire Monster Island in Spy Kids 2 is based on the monster designs, and it's a giant homage to Ray Harryhausen. And yeah, I was a huge fan of the Spy Kids franchise growing up. It's a very odd franchise when you think about it now, because it exists in this Robert Rodriguez universe where their uncle Machete is the same Machete in his Machete trilogy, who goes on, massive bloody killing sprees. And so all these movies exist in the same universe. I believe in the same universe as From Dusk Till Dawn, which, if you want to see it as less of an homage, in From Dusk Till Dawn, which has Quentin Tarantino in it, they go to Big Kahuna Burger. There's a scene where George Clooney is holding a bag from Big Kahuna Burger. So it's funny to think of Spy Kids existing in the same universe as Pulp Fiction and, potentially Kill Bill too, and all the other Tarantino movies, with all the different product placement. But yeah, so if you're a fan of Ray Harryhausen, go rewatch Spy Kids. Go rewatch Spy Kids 2 with the great Steve Buscemi, one of Hollywood's greats, one of Hollywood's hottest stars. Steve Buscemi is in that movie. So give it up for Steve, give it up for Ray Harryhausen, and give it up for Robert Rodriguez for some awesome skeleton monster designs. I feel as though the parts of Sinbad that I glitched for this episode didn't really do the movie justice. Granted, I don't really I don't watch many movies as far as like VHS tapes go unmuted. This show kind of evolves out of me putting on VHS tapes on mute in the background while I'm working on art, and then playing music and seeing how the music kind of syncs up with the footage. Sort of like a la Dark Side of the Rainbow, where Dark Side of the Rainbow doesn't actually work, like Pink Floyd didn't actually, well, it does work, but Pink Floyd didn't plan it to, but your brain, especially if you're on drugs, your brain kind of connects music with imagery together and syncs together. And I would do that all the time with whatever random VHS tape I wanted with whatever music I was playing. And I actually started doing a mute test where because I'm kind of a hoarder, and so I started collecting VHS tapes when I lived in St. Louis, and I moved to an apartment where I did not have internet. I couldn't afford to pay internet on my own, and I needed some form of entertainment. So the Salvation Army was not too far from where I worked at the time. So I'd go to Salvation Army because I had the same TV that I'm filming on. The CRT TV has a built-in VCR. This TV is named Sylvia because it's an old Sylvania brand TV, but it's got a built-in VCR. So I would go to Salvation Army because the tapes at Salvation Army, a lot of the Salvation Armies in Chicago now are trying to phase out VHS altogether. You can't find them anymore. But at the time in St. Louis, it was $1 each or 5 for $1. So if you went up to the counter with 4 VHS tapes, that would be $4. But if you went up with a 5th one, it was 5 for $1. So couldn't beat that deal. So I got way too many tapes, and to kind of Marie Kondo my lifestyle and see what sparks joy, I've been doing the mute test and seeing what passes, seeing what I can put on in the background and listen to music. And so I don't know how good the script is on this movie. I have no idea because I've never watched it unmuted, but I feel like the parts, I still think this is a great episode, but I feel like the parts that I glitched didn't do this episode justice. I know that I think the Cyclops shows up at some point in the glitching. We might have already passed that. I don't remember what order I put the clips in, but hope I did it justice. I feel like there's more Harryhausen monsters, and the parts that I ended up glitching were just a lot of white Americans and turbans. But I still think that that's the thing, is there's so many. If you support this podcast, which the people who watching it, you're supporting it right now just by watching it, but there's so many episodes to come in the future. So if you want to see more of Sinbad's voyages on the 7 seas, you want to see the skeleton scene that I was talking about later, just let me know and I will glitch more Sinbad. I would be happy. Nothing would make me more happy than to glitch more Sinbad for the good folks watching this show at home. I hope you all are ready, because it is time for our third and final song of the night. This is a song, you've heard them before, folks, I think, at least on the live episodes, but this is a song by Bice. The song is called What. It is streaming on all platforms, but if you want to go check out his older albums, you can find that at bice.bandcamp.com. Put out by Lifted Lo-Fi Records, and he's got a new single coming out this next week. I think it's like Tuesday or Wednesday or something. So check that out. Ramen by Bice, coming out soon. Not on the show because it's not out yet. So we're streaming the single What. So I hope you enjoy it. I said I wouldn't spell stuff on the show, but I am going to spell what. It's spelled W-U-T, so don't get any ideas thinking it's spelled W-H-A-T, because it's not that what, it's the other what. So stream Bice what on whatever platform you use, and we will be back with you after the song.
Hey yo, what's your
All right, that was What by Bice, streaming on all platforms. So go check out Bice, go to Bice's Bandcamp, buy some old albums, and then go stream the new stuff from Lifted Lo-Fi Records. We are coming towards the end of the show tonight. I want to say thank you all for watching. Thank you for the subscribers on Patreon that make this show possible. Thank you to VHS as a platform for making this show possible. And let me know in the comments, typical like and subscribe stuff. If I get to 100 subscribers, apparently I can have a custom URL, which would be pretty cool because then it'd be easier for people to find the show. But let me know how you like using the kind of juxtaposition of the VHS footage with the there's the Cyclops that I was talking about. Anyways, let me know how you think of the juxtaposition with the VHS footage combined with the footage that I take myself. Is the footage that I take walking around too boring? Obviously, I don't want to do the same thing every week, but I do want to switch it up and take more footage myself. Let me know if you hated the footage I take myself. Maybe I'll stick to more VHS tapes. If you're like, no, more original footage is fun, do more original footage, then I'll try to do more original footage. This is an evolving show, and although it's called the Omnia Sol Art Show, this is a collective show in the sense of, I get this music from artists that I like to put on the show, and your feedback actually will make a difference in the quality of the show. So yeah, so like and subscribe, leave a comment what you think. If you liked it, didn't like it, what do you want to see changed or improved? Let me know. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Omnia Sol Art. Just $1 a month gets you all the previous live episodes, which are no longer available on anything anymore. They're just unlisted videos on YouTube on the Patreon, as well as early access to my comic strip ZZZ. And I'm going to try to do more bonus episodes right now with work and life and doing a weekly show and a weekly comic strip. I don't really have time to do bonus episodes on top of it, but maybe in the future I'll figure out a way, either doing the model of like half and half, or I'll figure it out. But yeah, subscribe to the Patreon, support the show, and thank you all for coming out. I hope that you have a wonderful evening or morning or whenever you're watching the show. I hope that all your wildest dreams come true, and that you live the best life that you can live. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. And we're all in this together, folks. So let's keep fighting and keep winning, because we've lost so much. It's time to kick these fuckers where it hurts and win a little. So yeah, keep on keeping on, y'all, and have a good night. I love you.